Hey guys, what's going on? Quamii here. Welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for checking out this video. So I've got a different type of video for you guys today. This one's going to be kind of like an educational and discussion type video. And the topic that we're going to be discussing is I want to talk about the current meta in the Cycle Frontier as of Season 2. So I want to talk about the meta, what exactly is the meta, and what definitely needs to be changed about it in the future for patches, including like Season 3, and just some of my own thoughts of pros and negatives about the current meta in the Cycle Frontier. So if that sounds good to you guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, guys. Much appreciated. Cheers for the support. Feel free to swing by the live stream and say hello sometime. I stream from Monday to Friday, 5 days a week on Twitch at twitch.tv/Quamii. You can also find me live streaming on YouTube on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, obviously on YouTube. All other details will be in the description box down below. Now we got all that stuff out of the way, guys. Let's jump into it. Okay guys, so let's start from the beginning. What is the meta? The meta stands for the most effective tactics available. And basically what that translates to in gaming is what's the best method to use to win. More or less, that's pretty much it. So how that translates in the cycle is more or less what is the best way to win, talking about the gear obviously, so what is the best gear to use to achieve victory and what is the best strategy to use to achieve victory. So let's just get it out the way, guys. We all know what the best gun in the game right now is. We all love it, we all hate it at the same time because it's just so damn good and so overpowered. You all know it. Yes, it's the Voltaic Brute. And the reason why this gun is so good right now is because there's next to no recoil with it, and it just does so much damage, and it has an incredibly high fire rate, making it clearly the best gun in the game right now, and everyone's using it. Everyone and their mums is using this weapon. Oh, and if you're wondering about the background footage, I kind of just got some old footage from old clips, and I'm kind of just putting it to use here. The video's not really about the background, what's going on in the background. It's more about what I'm saying to you, okay? Just to clarify. Funnily enough, the meta in Season 2 is an actual improvement over the Season 1 meta. So if you weren't around for Season 1, the meta was the Shatter Gun. That was the best gun in the game. Everyone had one. And people were even rocking Shatter Gun and an Advocate because at that time, the Advocate was very overpowered too. You would not need to use any other weapon other than an Advocate as your secondary if you're going to use a Shatter Gun as your primary. So it also translated to Shattergun and some form of a sniper rifle. So the Shattergun was your close range weapon, and then you would have whatever else you wanted to use as your long range weapon. And that was kind of it. You would hit them with your long range weapon, and then you would immediately push them with your Shattergun. You hit them once or twice, and they'd be dead, and that would be the end of it. It was too damn good, and I'm glad that's over. But now here in Season 2, everyone's just using a Brute, and it's usually one of two combinations. It's either Brute Basilisk or Brute Arbiter. That is it. That is all that people use now, especially in, we'll say like the high MMR lobbies and all that sort of stuff, yeah? So that's kind of the only two loadouts that you'll ever see from the geared players. So it's kind of the same principle. They use the Basilisk or the Arbiter to tag them, get them really low. Then they'll push with the Brute because the Brute, they want the close range obviously, and then they'll just melt you down and that'll be the end of that. The only difference now with the Brute is that the weapon itself is actually more expensive than the Shatter Gun, and you've got more range on it. And you have to, of course, hit multiple shots with the Brute. Like, you'll have to actually spray and try and land all your shots, while with the Shatter Gun, you just need to hit them. You just point it in their general direction, and you'll probably hit them, and they'll probably die. That was Season 1. It was ridiculous. The armors are pretty straightforward as well. It's usually purple and above, so that's purple gear, which is epic, and then there's exotic gear, and then some people want to go legendary, which I don't think there's much point to using, but if you want to go legendary gear in this current meta, that's entirely up to you. But most of the time it's purple and exotic, and that's the meta. So there's going to be a nerf for the Brute and the Basilisk incoming for Season 3, but that's only going to happen when Season 3 hits. In the meantime, this is staying as it is, and this is the current meta. Another issue that I have with the current meta is the fact that they nerfed the Core 47. Now, the Core 47 is supposed to be an exotic weapon, and it's supposed to be the best assault rifle in the game. It's the #1 gun for the assault rifle category. And I am going to have to strongly disagree with the nerf that happened with the Core 47. The reason being is because I feel like the Core 47 had a really good place beforehand. you had a choice between the two loadouts. You could either go the brute sniper method, or you could have picked a Core 47 as your standard loadout in the current meta. But now you can't, because the Core 47 just sucks so bad, you almost always lose to a brute player. Like, you can kill them, sure, okay? But 9 times out of 10, or 8 times out of 10, you're going to lose, okay? Especially if the player knows what he's doing if he's any good. Another issue other than the nerf itself to the Core 47 that I have is the fact that the weapon itself, the core, is so damn heavy, so you always run extremely slow with it in your hands. So you can't chase anyone if you ever get into a mid-range fight with anyone, right? Unlike with the brute, you can just run with the brute out in your hand and you run like you're Speedy Gonzalez, like you're flying. But with the Core 47, you have to tag them heaps, because chances are you're not going to kill them in the first burst. And then you have to swap to your melee to go chase after them. And it's just a huge pain in the ass, because sometimes you just don't want to do that. Sometimes you just want to just run straight out with your gun out, because it's not safe. So from what I understand, the Core 47 was nerfed by 30% for the vertical recoil and the horizontal recoil. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think that's about right. So what I would do to make this better is, instead of 30%, make it 15%, something like that. And I will make the weapon not as heavy as what it is. I would increase the run speed with the weapon in your hand probably by like 15%, something like that. Nothing too much, but not too little either. You know what I mean? And I think that will be a decent balancing for the weapon. And therefore, it can be usable again in any meta, because it will have its own place, and you'll have a choice between multiple weapons instead of just picking the brute all the time for the best loadout. So my next peeve with the current meta, and some of you already know because we talk about it on my live stream, but I've got to mention it, it's the grenades. And I'm not talking about regular grenades, I'm talking about smoke grenades. People just carry literally 20 effing smoke grenades, and as soon as an engagement happens, they just throw 20 smoke grenades and they just run, and it's just like, what the hell is happening? And am I at a freaking national vape party? Why is there so much smoke everywhere? I can't see nothing. What is happening? Now, by no means am I saying you should not be carrying grenades or smoke grenades or anything like that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there definitely needs to be a limit to how many grenades of each grenade that you can bring into a raid. So they do a similar thing in Escape from Tarkov, where certain items, you can only have a certain amount of them on you when you go into a raid. Otherwise, you cannot pick them up, or the item gets destroyed or something like that. So I think a similar thing needs to happen in the cycle. So I think a good number would be maybe about 4. I think you should be able to have on your person a total of 4 of each type of grenade at the maximum. And that would give good balancing for the grenades. And this also prevents grenade spamming, when people just bring in 10, 20 grenades as well. So, I think that's also good. But the reason why I have such a big peeve for this thing, for the smoke grenades, is because it just doesn't promote intelligent fighting. It just feels ridiculous that you have to throw like 20 smoke grenades when an engagement happens. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like you should be fighting it out. You should be trying to be smarter about it, trying to get different angles, repositioning, and not just the default thing is to throw a whole bunch of smoke grenades. That's just the way that I think, and it's totally okay to disagree with me. But something definitely has to change for Season 3 in regards to the grenades. Okay, one last thing I'm going to talk about before we wrap up this video. One thing I've noticed, especially in squad games, squad fights, and duos and trios, whatnot, something that the meta is doing right now is every time you get into a fight and you kill one of the players of that squad, most of the time, what players will do is they'll just smoke the body where their teammate died. They'll just grab their gear and then they'll just leave. They'll just immediately just bail. So you won't have a chance to actually fight the other 2 players. This happens quite frequently. And they'll just throw the smoke grenades. There's not much you can do about it. They just quickly grab up the armor and the gun and they just leave. Then they reset. I mean, it's kind of... This is something else that I absolutely hate this. I think this is stupid. I personally believe you should just fight it out. And not be a wussy about it. Like, man, just because you couldn't get the jump on them does not mean, oh, we have to reset now because our friend died. I mean, to me, that's just baloney. But that's just my own opinion, of course. And not everyone is going to agree with me on this. And that's totally fine. But I just feel like it's kind of a shit way to go about it instead of just fighting it out. And a lot of players, unfortunately, play this way in the current meta. And I'm not talking about like white kit or green kit plays. I'm talking about full purples with kinetic arbiters and, you know, exotic gear and that sort of thing. And that's how they're playing it. So it's different from people who are like questing, you know, and that sort of thing. I'm talking about the people who are purely there for PvPing. And then that's how they decide to go about it. Basically, what that's telling me is that because they can't get the first kill and they can't get the advantage in a fight, they're just gonna reset and like there's nothing lost. They technically lost nothing if they get their teammates' gear out, right? And I think that's kind of a BS way to go about it. So basically, if they lose a teammate, they're just gonna quickly try and reset so then they can not be in the disadvantage. But then when they have the advantage, they just full on W key it at all the other players and just like swarm them, so they're outnumbered. Do you know what I mean? So they can only play when it's in their advantage, and I think that's kind of, I don't know how to say it other than to use the word weak. I feel that it's very weak to play that way because you're not always going to get an advantage. Like sometimes it's going to be even playing field, sometimes you're going to be in a disadvantage, sometimes you're going to get the advantage. That's just part of the game, man. Just play it and let the chips fall where they may. Alright guys, that's what I've got for you today. Hopefully you found this enjoyable and that you learned something from this video. I really just wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on the current meta and the things that some of the players are doing and what I think needs to be changed and that sort of a thing. So if you like this video, don't forget to like it, comment, subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, guys. Much appreciated. Cheers for the support. Feel free to swing by the live stream and say hello sometime. I stream from Monday to Friday at Twitch at twitch.tv/Quamii, but you can also find me live streaming Saturday and Sunday on the weekends on YouTube. So hopefully I'll see some of you jokers there too. All other details will be in the description box down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you learned something. And remember to keep practicing, keep improving, hang in there, stay Quam, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the live stream.